Hey, folks, it's Carrie Overbrunner, and guess what? We are here. We just did the one-day book. I'll tell you what, Shaker did amazing. Did you know you had that inside you?
You bought it out of me.
I'll tell you what, I just showed you the post that I did on Facebook 24 hours ago that said, hey, Shaker's coming into town and we're going to do this thing called One Day Book. And how long has this book been inside you?
I would say a few years, and I've been on and off with it. I've always wanted to publish it, but somehow, I wouldn't make progress. I wanted to get it to the next step.
Yeah.
And it was my lucky day when I ran into you at the strategic coach, and you commented on a story that I had mentioned.
Yeah.
And this was about my mother and growing up in India.
Yes.
And you said, you know, I have Igniting Souls as a publishing agency,
Yeah.
and if I wanted to know more,
Yeah.
and then it took me about 15 seconds to sign up with you for the one day book.
That's right. So let's talk about this because I think there's a lot of people out there that have a desire to write a book, but it seems too overwhelming. What we did today is, I'm just going to give people some tips, but we had a microphone. We went to Otter AI, it's a free website, but I used a template where I kind of asked you questions and you gave me fantastic stories. Should we tell people the name of the book? It's up
Yeah,
to
we
you.
have a couple of working titles. I guess
Yeah.
Born Givers or
Born
Born to
Givers.
Give
Born
or
Givers.
yeah, Born
So
Giver.
so here's you gotta hear the premise. By the way, if you're watching, go ahead and comment. I see Ricky. See, this is pretty cool. Ricky's commenting here. You know what, Ricky? We're gonna give away a couple gifts to people today just for being engaged. So we're gonna send them a copy of Unhackable physical copy. So go ahead, folks. Comment, share. We're also gonna. I'm gonna. I'm gonna share why I love working with Shaker. Okay, first of all, that's a cool name. Whose
Thank you.
name is Shaker? Come on now. And say your last name again.
Vemparala.
Vemparala. And here's what I learned. Okay, first of all, I learned a lot about the Indian culture.
Thank you.
Yeah, you sent me some Gandhi clips last night, but we looked at the Indian culture and you kind of said, look, everyone's born a consumer. Folks, listen to this. This is going to be amazing. He's in wealth advising,
Wealth planning.
wealth planning.
I'm the founder of Wealth DNA.
Look at that wealth DNA right on his shirt. I love it. Wealth DNA.
That's right.
So he has this amazing system called Wealth DNA. But your main premise is that you think that all of us are born consumers.
We're all born as we come into life. Nothing is available to you. Everything is given. So we learn that the way to survive is to be able to consume. And through the school years, we continue to be consumers.
Sports,
Sports,
education.
education, we're consumers of knowledge, we're consumers of material things, we're consumers of food. So we have to consume in order to survive.
Sure.
And as we get into life and we get into work, and we realize that everything was given to us, and it occurs to you at some point in time that you have to return the favor.
Mm.
And that's a great moment, because now what's happening is you're continuing to be a consumer, but you're shifting from being able to also contribute or give back.
Yes.
And you learn easily how to give, because when you start a family, you have to give back to your children.
Mm.
So you have to make sure your children are fed, they do their homework, so you're now contributing to their growth.
Yes.
But you also don't have to stop with contributing to your own family.
It can go
You
bigger.
can
You
you can
mentioned
get
the
bigger.
ripple.
The ripple effect. So you start contributing to society.
Mm.
And if you're grateful, and I have been a beneficiary of a lot of things. I moved to the United States as a student. and I continued on to becoming a financial advisor.
Yes.
And I must say that I'm very grateful to be successful,
Yes.
and it's time for me to give back.
Oh, wow. That is good. That
And
is
I'd
good.
love to do that. And not only do I want to do that, but I also want to teach other people how to contribute without having the sense that by contributing they're going to miss something.
Yes.
So
In
by
fact,
contributing,
your method, you show us how, what did you say? How to give without losing.
correct,
Oh,
how to give without losing. So if you know, one of the fundamental ways in which we can give is to benefit from the taxes while giving to a public charity.
mm.
So by giving away money or wealth does not diminish what you have.
And you brought up some amazing tools where this, I forget all the names, we wrote it all down, but it's these trusts that are set up where the person doesn't lose money, but they can be creating wealth. Like you even said America was designed to be a giving society.
Yes.
I mean, you were blowing my mind with all this stuff, but
Yes, so the founding fathers and how America is so successful is because the culture of giving has existed for ever since America existed.
And I know
So
we have Maureen from Ireland who's watching, so not everyone's American, and we'll ask you what you thought about her in a moment. But keep going. The founding fathers, America,
yeah,
give
so
it.
if you think about the Rockefellers or the men who built America, yes, they were capitalists and yes, they were entrepreneurs. But at some point in time, a light bulb went in their head which said that I must now contribute more than I take.
Mm.
So they started giving back.
Carnegie, especially, but you're saying that they were kind of racing each other, and it was ego, and it was kind of bad motives. But then they got to this point where you say money just becomes paper.
Money just becomes a fuel that you can use, and you can either burn the fuel or you can, ignite it and multiply
Ooh, I like that.
the
Ignite.
bounty.
Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to use ignite because
Ignite.
of
Yeah.
ignite, so
Well,
ignite
you brought up
fires.
a great illustration. And this is why this whole process is so magic, because he's just speaking, he's in flow. I'm typing, there's AI writing, but you use the analogy of the Titanic movie. Share that
Yes,
story with us.
so
That's good.
one of the interesting scenes in the movie, The Titanic, is when this one guy who's got a lot of money and he brings a bag full of money and he wants to get onto the boat to save himself, and
He hands he
whoever
hands it
he
to the
hands the money thinking that he would secure a seat, and whoever was in charge to move women and children onto that boat takes his money and just throws it in the water because it's meaningless. Because the
Wow.
money can't save your life at that point in time. It's just paper.
That's so
It
good.
has no meaning.
And you use the analogy. I heard about the U-Haul behind a hearse, but you
Yeah.
used the armored truck.
Yeah. So when we leave the planet, it's the same way we were born. We come into the world with nothing. And when you leave the world, you can't bring it with you. So you don't see any armored trucks going to the funeral parlor. So you have to leave it behind.
That's right.
Yeah. So
And another thing you taught me the last day was that I we hear about Warren Buffett, Melinda Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. We hear about these ultra wealthy, but your point was that it's actually not the ultra wealthy that are born can become born givers. Oh, we got to share them. We got to show the chart to them in a moment. We're going to show you the chart. This is good. But it's often, quote, us non uber super wealthy people.
yes, so the majority of giving, it's like this. Each drop of more water makes the mighty ocean. So while wealthy people can give a fair share of their wealth. Collectively, it's donations large and small that run the world. So if you
Mm,
go to your local church, or you go to your local university, or you go to your local hospital, it's a lot of people that give little money, and the little old lady that gives just $1,000 a year. It's the annual giver, and that makes up for the bulk of the donations that
wow.
come in. And it's the generosity of the giver.
Mm,
And the giver doesn't have to be super wealthy or a multi gazillionaire.
yeah.
They just want, they just have to be able to give something,
Yeah.
and that gives them joy, and that's equally powerful.
In my background, it's Jesus' story about the widow
That's right.
giving the two little mites
Yes.
is more than the huge wealth.
Yes.
Let's show them the chart because, folks, I want you to realize Shaker and I both ascribe to the who not how model, and I was his who today.
Yes.
But what the genius was from Shaker. Watch this chart here. This is pretty cool. We're gonna let the cat out of the bag here, as they say. So you came up with this chart of born taker and born giver. So folks, let me know if you can see this. Can you see this? Uh, Comment below if you can see this because it's taking up my screen now, so I can't see you. But I will get a comment here. I think somebody's gonna see it. Let me see here. Oh yeah, they can see it. Okay, so walk us through this because this is like mind blowing. The born taker. Just use a few of these.
So there's takers and then there's givers. The taker has the mindset that it's all for themselves, and they live in a scarce
Mm-hmm.
world, and they're not about sharing, and they're about limiting their own growth. And they live in a world which is pretty limited, and as a result, they live in a minus world or a
Yeah.
subtraction world. Whereas a born giver knows that by giving it away, more is yet to come. So they're like the river that is constantly flowing. They live and they share an abundant mindset, and they give and they contribute and they connect and they grow. And because of that, they multiply their happiness and their return on abundance and their
Yes.
return on happiness,
Yes.
if you will. So it's important to have, and this can be cultivated.
Mm.
It doesn't have to come naturally to you, but you can learn how to be a giver.
Mm.
And you can do more with your money by having the mindset of a giver and having abundance instead of scarcity as a guiding principle.
Awesome. So, folks, we had an absolute blast. Ricky, let's pick a few people that we can send unhackable to, and then you were able to witness Maureen
Sure.
Sharphouse's
In Scotland.
in Scotland, and she's already supporting you and watching you, and she's excited about you. Tell everyone how cool that was. That was your first book launch that you saw. Do you think Maureen did a good job?
Phenomenal job. And I pray and I hope that the next 35 years of her awesome life, which will be chronic trauma and pain free, will erase the last 35 and not even make it something that she will have to remember.
There you go. There you go. Well, folks, you see how Shaker is a soul on fire. We just wanted to capture a little bit of the magic that happened. We outlined the book. We recorded everything. So now we have the contents, and now it's just going to be polished. But Shaker, why don't you tell someone who might be watching? I know that you were kind of the poster child for this because you're the first one officially, but Kathleen has already signed up, Kathleen Adams, and we have some other people. But how was this for you the experience of the one day book?
I think the one day book is worth 100 days on your own.
Mm,
The one day is really the most concise way where you get focus time, and it's highly concentrated.
yes.
You're not going to, you want to keep that day aside because we all run busy
Mm,
lives, and you think that you're going to get your book done for 3 or 4 hours a day, and then life happens.
mm,
Your kids need your attention, or something else happen.
sure.
It's the crisis of the day, and you never get it done.
Mm,
And that's what happened to me.
yeah.
I've been wanting to do this for a long time,
Hmm.
but this is the best way you can finish something that you've started in your mind. And with Carrie's help, you can go further in literally 8 hours than you can over 3 months or 6 months. So
Awesome.
thank you, Carrie. I appreciate your time.
Well, and you got 3 speaking events coming up,
Yes.
and that was the pressure, the good pressure.
Yes.
You said I got to speak Memorial Day around July,
And then the
and
end of
then
July,
the
I
end of
have three
July.
conferences, and it's important for me to launch this book
So
to the world prior to these events. So I wanted to pack it all in,
yes.
and you made it happen. And I want to thank you for that.
And now the real work comes. We got to get this baby out in 5 weeks.
Something like that.
All right.
And I know you can do it,
We
Gary.
can do it. All right, folks. Have a great day, and keep being a born giver.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for all your wonderful comments.
Hey, and check out wealthplanning.com and wealthdna.com.
TheWealthDNA.com.
Thewealthdna.com goes to the same place. Take care, everybody. Listen.